Hi, we're going to take a look at the very fun spreadsheet project, Retirement Investing. Who could argue with coffee, donuts, camping, and skiing? Let's hope that works out according to plan. There's several items I'm going to need to hit along the way here, so even if you understand the first part of what I'm explaining in the video, tune in for the rest because there's more information to be had. As you make this spreadsheet, over here, this is going to be information that somebody puts in. This is where the user enters the information, and this is where all the math happens. From all this math, people are going to look over here to see, hey, how much money do I have upon retirement? And how much money is that going to give me to live on each year in retirement? And we'll get to that. But here's the mechanics of how this goes in case this is foreign to you. This person said that their salary is going to be $60,000. So at age 22, their starting salary is $60,000. This person says they're going to invest 9% of their salary. So this $5,400 is a calculation that is 9% of that. So on January 1st of the first year, we pretend that they put all their money in on January 1st and they have $5,400 invested. During that year, from January 1st to December 31st, it grows by 9.2%, and it grows then to this value of 5,897. This is December 31st of their first year. So now if we go to the very next year, we assume that they get a raise, so their new salary is increased, and their raise is 3.8%. That means they're going to still invest 9% of their salary. So this is how much new money is going to go in. So this mechanically will happen like this. This is their December 31st account total. On January 1st of the next year, we pretend that they put in all their money for the year. This 5,605. December 31st money plus a brand new batch of money gives you your new account total at the beginning of year 2. This is January 1st, and then it grows throughout the entire year at 9.2% to end here on December 31st. Then we just keep following this cycle. December 31st, new year, new salary, new batch of money to go in. New money combined with old money gives me a January 1st account value. It grows during the year, and I get to December 31st with more money. You shouldn't have to program this all the way down. You should probably be able to program one row across, a second row across, and then if you're doing that well, you should be able to take that entire second row and drag the whole thing down. So that's the overview of the mechanics of this project. Now let me hit some things that you're going to need to know as you do it. First off, you're going to be using some exponents. So 4 to the third power in spreadsheets, always start with an equal sign. 4 caret 3. So the caret is your exponent. Easy enough. You see that a lot of this work has to do with percentages and percent change. So many people have many different ways to work with percents. I promise you the way I'm about to show you is probably the best and most efficient. So don't blame me if you go your own way and end up with something slightly different, which would be wrong. If I have an increase of 5%, of all the different ways to do it, I highly recommend this. Just take the amount you had times 1.05, which is really 100% plus an additional 5%. Let's say if you have an increase of 12% for 20 years in a row. That's 1.12, 100% plus 12 more percent, raised to the 20th power. Which, by the way, if you want to just check it out on Excel, on spreadsheets, you can make sure that you on a spreadsheet can come up with $964.63. If you start off with $100, 20 years at 12%, you have almost $1,000. And following this same logic, a decrease of 8% is whatever amount you started with times a 0.92 You think of that as 100%, 1.00, minus 8% or minus 0.08. So I highly recommend when you're doing percent change calculations, you take my advice. Thanks for that. A couple other items before we get to possibly the biggest lesson on here. Have the user input their values as percents, not decimals. I'll show you what I'm talking about there. This is where the user is going to input information. Even though you might like decimals for math, you can format those decimals as percents, and this is what the common man is going to relate to percents. Most people are not going to want to have to enter a 0.092 to represent a 9.2% stock market return because people don't like math. The other piece of advice before the biggest lesson on here is set up your spreadsheet to go from age 22 all the way down to age, I said 70, I'm going to change that, sorry, to age 67. And that way, when we're checking this, everyone's on the same page. If your true working career is going to start after age 22, or you're going to save diligently and retire before 67, that's fine. I applaud that. But for the purposes of this spreadsheet, go to 67. And if 67 seems like a long way away, don't worry, it'll go fast. This last part, and the most important lesson on here possibly, is how not to run out of money, because that would be a bad thing. So I'm going to focus on this portion of the spreadsheet, and I apologize as usual for the focus, because I don't think this is the best camera out there. Thank you, PLSD. In this scenario, this person has about $5.6 million saved up for retirement. And here it says their yearly retirement salary is about $282,000 a year. By the way, those numbers seem ridiculous to you, but we're going to show you later on that they're really not ridiculous. That'll be a project or two down the line. Well, this yearly retirement salary is not the salary you had at work the year before you retired. That's something totally different. So we're going to take a look at that here shortly, but this account total upon retirement, that cell is linked to, at your age 67, your end of year retirement account value. So this is, at the end of the career, how much money have you accumulated? So we just link that up here. But this yearly retirement salary is what we're now going to focus on. So to focus on this concept, we're going to pretend that you have a end of working career retirement account value of $4 million. And let's say you just sit around and you say, you know what? I feel like I have a good 20 years in me, so I will just withdraw 1/20th of this amount from this account every year, and life will be fine. If you do the math on that, that means you get $200,000 per year. However, if you have that type of thinking, each year this $4 million goes down by a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, at $200,000 per clip. All of a sudden, 20 years into retirement, you're healthy as a horse, loving life, and you've withdrawn your last $200,000. You are now in trouble because you have no more money and probably not a lot of great career job prospects. So how can we make this better? We can put a smile on your face by using this type of thought process. You take your big pot of money, your $4 million, and you invest it at some sort of reasonable rate, probably much more conservative. In this case, I'm going to pick 5%, which is much lower than the 9.2% that you were investing at during your working career. And this just indicates that you're choosing safer investments so that wild changes in the stock market aren't going to affect you too much. Now, what you do is you say this account value is being invested at this percent, and every year you just live off of the percent gain from this account, but you never touch the main money in the account. only the 5% that was earned off of that account. So in this case, 4 million times a 5% gives me a $200,000 earnings off of that 4 million. I live on this. I pretend that's my salary and retirement, and by doing that, this $4 million never goes down. It stays at 4 million, and every single year I just live off the earnings. Hey, your kids might like that too. That's good news for them. Inheritance. So the idea that I was just describing turns out in this case, this was the pot of money upon retirement, and instead of living off of a fraction of that every year and drawing it down to zero, in this case, the person decides that they'll shoot for about a 5% return in retirement, and 5% of this every single year will give them about $280-some thousand to live on, never once withdrawing money out of the main account. All right, there's a lot of little bits and pieces in there, but go ahead and get going on this thing, because I'm going to venture to say that most of you are going to put together some sort of spreadsheet like this early on in your working career. Enjoy!